Greetings, geeks worldwide. Welcome back. It is time to take another walk on what side? You know that side. You all love it. It's the geek side. And I'm super happy to be back because tonight, for the first time in a while, we got the whole crew back on the show. Of course, I'm talking about the handsome debonair has survived many near-death experiences as of late, Mr. Darren Generally. Hi, Darren.
I thank you. I thank you. My voice thanks you. My lack of tonsils, thank you.
Yes. Buddy, it's so good to have you back on, my friend. How's life been treating you? And we're glad you're back, and you still have your sultry, buttery smooth voice that we love so much.
Well, I always want to keep that buttery voice so I can spread it to everyone around me, and that did not come out right. It did not, in no way, shape.
I immediately thought of the creepy pedophile on Family Guy when he was on the Spartans episode. And he's like, spread that butter with the force.
It's like I couldn't even walk that back. I just was like just spreading that buttery voice.
Oh man, that's so good. Oh, Darren, you kill at that voice, man. You're talking that voice more often, much to the horror of Christina.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yes.
Christina, my friend, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. Recovering from a bout of bronchitis, so forgive me for mouth breathing and occasionally coughing and sniffling.
Okay. We're all gonna be like,
yeah, basically.
Hi. Cool, my friend. What did you do anything fun for New Year's?
We literally went to. Did we stay up till midnight? I don't even know if we stayed up till midnight. We were very lazy. Like watched Poldark and played our phone games and went to bed early. We were lame. I'm pregnant though, so like you got to give me some way.
I mean,
yeah,
you're more than justified for being lame. I put that in air quotes, so to speak.
Which, by the way, I'll show you. My tummy has definitely gotten from people no longer question if I had too big of a burrito to
Yes.
I'm definitely
Yes.
definitely pregnant.
Christina, if we're talking like sport ball size, what would you rate your tummy now?
Half
you had,
half
like,
a basketball.
Yeah, I would say like half basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like somebody threw one at me and it got stuck into my abdomen.
I was like, thump. That's so awesome. Yeah, wifey and I, for literally the first time since we've actually been together, I think we went out on New Year's, and it wasn't anything crazy. We just went to a friend's house, and it was pretty mellow for the first like 2-3 hours, and right about 11:15, some of his friends showed up that were all just like beyond either drunk or stoned, and they brought a bunch of friends with them. And I like looked at him because he's kind of looking around after a while, and I go, "Do you know half of these people are in your house right now?" He's like, "I have no clue who any of these people are." I was like, "That's nice." So yeah, so the rest of the night got interesting, but it was cool. But besides New Year's, and I'm glad everybody had a good New Year's and we all survived it. We got a lot to talk about because we just got some pretty big Marvel news that just, I guess, circulated the internet a few hours ago. Darren, please bring us in on that, man. What did we finally hear from Camp Marvel? Hasn't been confirmed yet, right? But
it hasn't been. Is the thing. It has not been greenlit. The film has not been greenlighted, but the fact that Kevin Feige has met with both Scarlett Johansson and the writer they've chosen for to write this film means it's probably the next stage is just getting a script in, and then the ball starts rolling. But what they've done is they've met with writer Jack Schaefer. Jack is a female writer, so just don't take it as JAC. It's JAC Schaefer, but she has met with Kevin Feige and has been tapped to write a screenplay for a solo Black Widow film after 10 years.
After 10 fucking years, we'll say what, like 8 or 9 of them, the fans have been asking, when are we going to get a solo Black Widow film? And finally, there seems to be some kind of movement towards that inevitability. I could not be more excited. I don't need to gush and on. You guys know how I feel about Scarlett Johansson, so we'll leave that alone. But Christina, what are you thinking about this possibility that will for sure almost happen?
I think long overdue. I think I'm sad that Marvel didn't do it before DC did it, to have a a standalone female superhero movie.
Right.
She's always been one of my favorite Marvel heroes because she's just a person.
Yeah.
She doesn't necessarily have superpowers. She's just like a super awesome trained like espionage specialist. She's just the coolest. And seeing her in Iron Man 2 and doing her kick-ass scene where she's taking out all the guards, I would love to see a movie like that. Like basically Atomic Blonde, but with Natasha.
With Black Widow.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking amazing. Darren, where do you let me ask you this. Being that we know where obviously first off, we are now officially in the 10th anniversary year of the MCU. And obviously, we got a big film coming up, a couple of big films coming up, obviously, from Camp Marvel. But being that we know kind of where the current direction and current phase of the MCU is going to be ending, what do you think that means for a Black Widow movie? Do you think that they're going to continue to where we get left off at? Do you think they maybe might go in the route of a prequel and kind of do a Natasha origin story and her early days as as a former spy and assassin and all that other stuff?
Well, I think the MCU has kind of gotten away from origin films, and the fact is, we've gotten to know who Natasha is over 6 films already. So I think, like, I don't necessarily think filling in the theoretical holes or the gaps in her history is going to be interesting, and I think they're moving forward. So I think, and I hope, I said my hope is that they go ahead and just keep it small, keep it level, keep it on the ground, but don't necessarily have a MacGuffin that has to lead to something bigger, but give her something to do that's important to the future of the MCU on a scale that she can handle. And that doesn't mean, don't it can't be big and bombastic and amazing, but I think a spy movie doesn't necessarily have to have a building or a spaceship blow up at the end of it.
Like I said, have it be something more like Atomic Blonde or John Wick, or even something like the new Red Sparrow movie that's coming out with Jennifer Lawrence. Something like, or James Bondy, like do something like that with her. I want to see her skill set.
Yeah. Maybe somebody like from her past comes back up to haunt her a little bit, and she's got to go back to her old stomping grounds, and go to some places maybe she doesn't want to go to. Something like that I think would be kind of fun to see in a Black Widow movie. I think I really tend to obviously I love Marvel movies no matter what they put out, but I tend to enjoy the movies that are kind of a little more, we'll say, practical, realistic, I guess we'll say. Winter Soldier obviously was a good example of that, besides the giant spaceships crashing into buildings, but I think something with a little more of a realistic feel in the whole spy espionage realm would be kind of a neat thing to interject with Black Widow, since like Christina said, she's very much just a real person who's very well trained. So I cannot wait to hopefully soon hear more news about where they plan to go with this. And I'm excited that, obviously they've talked to Scarlett and they're not planning to go with somebody else, which would be stupid. I don't know what's her contract status at the end of this phase of MCU films. Do you?
I'm not sure where she's at. I think the only person I know whose contract is up currently is Chris Hemsworth. And he's already said he wants to come back as Thor. So I don't know what her status is, but I'm relative like past Infinity War. But the fact that they're meeting with her means that they're and asking her what she wants is a step in the right direction. I think that we're probably going to get something interesting.
Which I think is a really cool thing, man. That when I read that they were asking her kind of her thoughts and opinions on what she would like out of the film, and I think that's a smart thing to do. I mean, obviously she's spent enough time over the last almost decade being that character, and I'm sure she knows the ins and outs of that character better than most. Yeah, and I think not doing that would be really stupid.
For the love of God, please learn from Wonder Woman and have a woman help on the script and write it. And please consider a woman as the director. There is something to be said about women writing roles for women. So at least listen to our input, please.
And that's the thing. I mean, Schaefer is a woman. Yeah. So the fact that they have a woman penning the script is a step in the right direction. And absolutely. I can think of a whole myriad of amazing women directors like Lexi Alexander, and who could absolutely just who could take that film to places we never thought possible.
Yeah,
so I would love to see something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be really good, man. I can't wait to see it. And I think it's like Christina said, it's about fucking time that happened. But
yeah.
We'll wait to see when it gets the official green light, which we all know it's going to get. But speaking of Marvel news and big movies that are coming out this year from Camp Marvel, Black Panther tickets just went on sale, and according to the interwebs, Black Panther had the biggest first day ticket pre-sale of any Marvel movie, which just blows my mind, and I think that's fucking amazing. Darren, talk to me about Black Panther, man. Surprising, not surprising that it had the biggest ticket sales.
It's not surprising. It's not surprising to me for ticket pre-sales, and I'll basically just kind of put it out there. There's an aspect of buying power in the Black community that that a lot of people either don't particularly talk about, or to the point of ignoring, or tend to take for granted, or even just the fact that they don't think that it's either there or that as a community we particularly care. Like I'll give you an example. They didn't think was it girls not girls night. see I'm about to lose my card. Like I'm going to have to surrender. but just the fact that this girls trip that's the name of it. The fact that Girls Trip, and what's really funny is because I literally watched this movie a couple of weeks ago with my wife, and I thought it was hilarious. The fact that it was successful wasn't based on, everyone was surprised that it was successful, but they didn't think that, they didn't take into account that there's a coordinated effort in the Black community to go see things of quality, go see things that are representative of us, that are different and that are entertaining. So I'm not surprised at all that Black Panther has gotten it the pre-sales it is, because it is something that as a community we've wanted, as a community we've asked for, as a community we've hoped for, and now that we're getting it, we're gonna support it, because it's the only way we'll get another one.
Exactly.
More often.
Yeah. So. It's a wonderful thing that we are getting so many, we'll say, diversely led movies, specifically from Camp Marvel. I think that speaks volumes, and people are listening, and it's not a perfect system by no means, but it's going in the right direction. I think that's an amazing thing. Christina, what are you most excited for about Black Panther?
All of it. It looks so incredible, and I'm really excited that I think some theaters have even sold out already for opening night. Yeah. Which concerns me because I haven't searched to buy tickets yet here. Although to be fair, where I am in Texas, I went for Last Jedi opening night, and there was nobody in line. It was weird.
Right.
And the theater was not full. So we'll see if it has. I'm hoping that it is sold out. I really do. And I hope that it's packed, and despite the fact that I want to see it opening night. Yep. But it's super important.
My damn issue is I just haven't got paid yet. That's why I haven't bought tickets yet. Shit.
I'm still not sure if I'm even here that week, because I might be going back to California for a couple of days, but we'll
see it together.
So I haven't bought tickets yet, but I think it's really important that we're heading in this direction, and it's really cool seeing kids light up, seeing themselves in a character
Right.
where maybe they couldn't have before. Like a lot of even the commercials I've seen for the toys and everything else, it's just really, really cool. It makes me get all teary eyed, and
Yeah.
so we're heading in the right direction, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm just super excited. This movie looks beautiful. Like the costumes, I can't stop oohing and ahhing over them, and
Yeah.
everyone looks so beautiful. I'm so excited.
I can't wait for cons this year because I just want to see people just cosplaying as these characters. I know I'm going to. I just need to like pick a character. Probably gonna be like Forrest Whitaker's characters and just get to wear
nice, buddy.
Like a badass purple dashiki.
Yes.
But I think but one of the things I'm really enjoying is the fact that people are starting to realize that representation matters, and it's not at the expense of anything else. That there is room for everyone, that there's room for new and different, and it doesn't have to take away from anything else. And hopefully we'll start seeing more of that going forward.
Absolutely.
I agree. It needs to happen. And it's good that it's starting to. Christina, I'm gonna go to you for the next topic at hand, and I get a little worried, Christina, when I hear things like a studio is preparing for a movie to totally bomb, and now we're hearing that this movie is going to some new reshoots. What are your thoughts on everything that we've been hearing surrounding Solo, a Star Wars story? Because I mean, I don't know, I've heard some not great things so far.
Giant fucking dumpster fire on a train track. Like I'm not convinced it's going to be worth a shit. However, with that said, I am hoping, because Ron Howard is not a terrible director, that, and Kathleen Kennedy seems to, for the most part, know her stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping, just like with Rogue One, the reshoots will be handled very well, and I'm hoping this time they mean adding extra photography. It's not actually fully reshooting the movie, because that's what worries me the most. They're trying to go back and like reshoot a bunch of terrible stuff, which they should do if the movie is bad, which is what I keep hearing, is that it's been so bad they have to go back and reshoot scenes because just the audiences aren't buying it. It's not, which leads me to my frustration of like, why do we have a Solo movie? Like, why? I love Han Solo. I think he's great. But one of the things that makes him an awesome character is that we don't know every single detail about him. He has that air of mystery and cockiness around him, which makes him so much more interesting than knowing, I'm frustrated. I hope it's good. I hope I walk out surprised, like I did with Rogue One, that ends up being really good. And I'm like, wow, okay. Now I'm going to go see it again. I hope it does that to me, but I don't have, as Han Solo and everyone else has said in Star Wars, I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, definitely. Christina, one thing I wanted to ask you specifically, because I know you're I would definitely say out of the three of us, you've had a lot more experience in the acting arena. As one of the things that I've also heard quite a bit of was that the gentleman who's playing Han Solo was not the greatest actor, and they had to have an acting coach with him quite a bit of the time while he was on set. Does that worry you at all, or is having an acting coach on set kind of a normal thing?
Personally, I've never seen acting coaches on set.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, it is not uncommon, I don't think. Especially when you are portraying a character that is basically, he's a person. I mean, Han Solo, let's just face it, he's Harrison Ford. I mean, he's a real person. He's still alive.
Right.
You have to emulate this person so perfectly that it makes sense to have an acting coach. What I don't understand is why they didn't cast somebody, in my opinion, that already proved that he had the facial expressions and the voice down. This actor that they have,
same guy from the internet, probably. Yeah.
Yes. He's really good. And I get that maybe because he didn't have the right agent or whatever the red tape was, they didn't hire him.
Yeah.
The actor they hired is a good actor. But the problem is, like I said, you almost needed somebody who could just emulate him and not hope that you could train him to do this once you've already hired him, which is what it feels like maybe they did.
I agree.
I'm not sure if that was helpful at all, the acting coach, but I mean, and it makes sense for them to have one there because of who he's portraying.
Yeah.
But it is a little worrisome, yes.
Yeah. Darren, reshoots, like we talked about a little bit, are not always necessarily a bad thing, but do you think in this case could be a sign of trouble? What are you feeling about the whole thing?
I'm not sure. I mean, I look at reshoots as, especially within the last 5 years in film, are things that are pretty much just factored in.
Sure.
So I think they're just they're ubiquitous. They're part of the schedule now. Now it really would depend on what they're reshooting. And more often, if they're just trying to get more coverage on something, or if they want a different angle on something, if they want to play up a certain aspect, then that's one thing. It's like I think it really kind of depends on how long. They say we're going to be doing like 2 to 4 weeks of reshoots. Then more often than not, they're just kind of getting like coverage, or they want different angles, or they want to try something new or add a different sequence. If it's more than that, then that means that they found some huge issues that they have to fix. And at this point, they haven't even done the effects. So
that's what we're
so at this point, if any reshoots are pretty much just all going to be performance based.
Yeah, so. And I mean, I feel like it's really late in the game, man, for that. I mean, this movie's supposed to come out in May, is it not?
We don't even have a teaser.
Yeah. And it's like they're scrambling to do reshoots. We, like you just said, we don't have a teaser, a trailer of any sort. I'm like, those are all kind of troubling signs, guys. I don't know. I love my Star Wars and I want to give it the B or the D, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. It's weird. Go ahead, Darren.
I'll say, just going back to what Christina said about Rogue One. I mean, Rogue One, came out November, and they were doing reshoots up until almost the end of summer that year. So, I mean, it's a new phenomenon, but it's probably not going to be the last we hear of it happening on any production, especially on something this big.
Yeah. Well, maybe if they wouldn't pick a character like Han Solo to do a movie, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
learn from this mistake, Disney.
Yeah, fucking A, kids. Yeah. like with everything else, friends, like with everything else that's had a bad, we'll say some bad omens before it, I'm just gonna go in there with my expectation-o-meter way at the bottom and see where we go.
That's the best way to do it, because it's
we're gonna have to do it that way with this movie, I believe. But speaking of another movie that was riddled with reshoots and recuts and reconfigures and redirectors, and it's driving me crazy that still this is a big topic. This whole theory of this Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League movie.
Oh my God,
fucking A, people, can we get over this already?
Oh my God!
And then you got somebody who went on record saying that that there was, probably should have written. Trying to think of the gentleman's name. Somebody that worked on the film said there is a Zack Snyder cut. How can you have a Zack Snyder cut of a movie if he's been gone for half the movie? Are we talking like a short, a student film here about an hour long with all his stuff just thrown in together? What are we talking about here, guys?
I mean, it's the same kind of people that complain about Last Jedi. So, I mean, they're never going to be happy. They're going to want, like, I want to see what George Lucas would have done. He already said that the path Luke went on was kind of what he was going to do anyway, and he liked the movie. Well, I want to see what Abrams would have done. Really? Because you didn't like TFA.
Yeah.
Just, you like it or you don't. Yeah. Please stop harping on it and signing stupid petitions that aren't going to do jack shit.
Right. The gentleman in question is a man named Richard Citrone, who is a stunt worker, and apparently he's worked on every movie in the DC Films library since Man of Steel.
So he would know.
Yeah, he would definitely know, right? And his quote apparently was, "Please pass along to your group my thanks for the passion in supporting Zack. Tell them I know for a fact that a Zack Snyder cut does exist, and with the help of people like you and your group, we can hopefully persuade WB to release it. Thanks again."
You and your 12 other friends who are actually there at the protest.
your 12
are
friends and 30 followers
are going to sway public opinion.
Yes, absolutely.
For $30 million worth of effects
of another
shots.
flop.
Right.
Now, also, weren't these same
reshoots.
people complaining about Zack Snyder doing it?
Yes, that's my biggest point. These are the same people who gave nothing but crap about Zack Snyder directing the film in the first place, and now all of a sudden they want his vision. It's the same people who gave George Lucas crap about the prequels and Star Wars, who now want George Lucas's vision.
Oh God!
It's the same people who want it both ways, and you can't have it both ways.
You just sound like a bunch of crybabies at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but we all don't get what we want. Mm-hmm. I never wanted the prequels, and I don't like them, but they're there, and I accept it. Mm-hmm. You have to accept that there's just this version of Justice League and deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Justice League. Justice League was a flawed movie. I found it enjoyable, but it was flawed. I don't need to see a Zack Snyder cut because at this point, nothing that could have been added to it would have either enhanced or taken anything necessarily away from the overall film. It just is. It is what it is. Now, hopefully, they can, you redirect, you move on, and and do it better the next time around. But asking for some, but here, I would ask, ultimately, I would ask this question. Okay, if Zack Snyder himself gave you his cut of the movie tomorrow, what would it change? What, if anything, in the entire world would releasing a Zack Snyder cut change about the performance, the performance of, or the or the critical response to Justice League?
Fanboy tears. That's pretty much the only answer.
Yeah, they would find something else to cry about the next day.
They would. They absolutely would. I'm so tired of it.
Zack Snyder sucks. This. Now that ties in pretty well to our other news topic that I was going to bring up, Darren. And I know you've probably read into a little bit of this. There's definitely been some recent shakeups at Camp WB over there. And do you think, they like to use the word step down and resigned, but do you think that there was some big people at the top of the studio that lost their jobs because of the not success of Justice League?
I think there are people who got shifted to other positions because they couldn't deliver on a $250 million film with an additional $300 to $500 million worth of marketing and merchandising.
Sure.
They could not deliver $1 billion on that film. Yeah. So they went with Hamada, who has a track record of bringing in huge box office with very low production costs.
Right.
And I think that's probably, and it's a good move for the bottom line. I'm still a little bit iffy on the quality of the films, but I love the Conjuring films. Absolutely love them. I liked the Annabelle films a lot. I really loved It last year. It's probably one of my best films of 2017.
Yeah, which just came on Blu-ray and 4K on Tuesday. Yes.
Right. But here's the thing. He spearheaded $1.6 billion worth of revenue on combined films with a budget of $56 million. So he knows how to make money.
Right.
The question becomes, can he do that with properties as big as Batman and Superman?
Right.
And I think if they streamline it, if you go, because here's the thing, Deadpool was what, $50 million? Made $800 million at the box office and more.
Right. Yeah.
I think if you do a couple of films like that, not thematically, but budget wise, I think you start to see a turn in where those films can go. I think take a lot of the spectacle out and give more and make better stories.
You don't want to see Bruce say #drive-by?
No, because I don't want to see a Lobo movie. And that's literally what they were probably going to do next.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, hey, Deadpool 2 works. Let's make our Lobo film.
Lobo.
Let's never make a Lobo film.
And everybody collectively goes, who?
Exactly.
What's a Lobo? One of the success stories of Team WB this year obviously was Wonder Woman, and in recent interviews, Patty Jenkins is talking about how important it is for her to be able to recapture the tone of Wonder Woman in Wonder Woman 2, and obviously that's something that was, we'll say, their WB's defining moment in the DC EU or whatever they're calling it now, DCU, right? They shorten it now, DCU. Yeah. Christina, what do you think? Why do you think the tone of the film is such an important thing, and where would you like to see Wonder Woman 2 go next?
The tone of the film is super important because I don't even know where to start on it. Because again, when I went in to see the movie, because I'm not a huge DCU fan anymore. The cinematic universe, I'm just not. It's the only movie I actually really enjoy out of all of them. And as I said before with Black Widow, I think it's important that it's written and directed by a woman, as you could tell that it was. I bought every choice she made. I bought all of her dialogue. I mean, there's some plot stuff that's a little weird, like with Ares and stuff, that's a little stupid, but like it's a comic book movie, so whatever.
Yeah.
But I believe her choices and how she felt about Chris Pine's character, right. Her strength, her adoration for her people, and for people she doesn't know, like us, mortals. Mm-hmm. It's so important for women to have this, and for little girls to see this. And it wasn't over sexualized, and it was just beautifully done, and that women can be strong and beautiful and awesome. And I would love to see that same feel that I got from it, that actually teared me up a couple times, which surprised me big time that I did. Especially that big scene when she goes onto the no man's land and oh my God, that's one of my favorite scenes in any comic book movie. Yeah. I would love to see it do even better in the second one. And I know sometimes it's hard to do in sequels, but you can't mess this one up, guys. Like right. You've already messed up quite a bit of stuff, but you can't mess up Wonder Woman. Don't do that. So make sure that you keep a good grasp on it, keep Patty in there, and I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think what I find interesting that you just mentioned, and one of the things that she said in a quote on this particular article that I was looking at, was how important it was to not veer from one movie to another movie, first of all, and second, that anywhere that she walks out in the Wonder Woman suit, it just doesn't look ridiculous. And even though in that movie you're putting Wonder Woman in a very historically, based World War I scenario, you just mentioned, you got teary-eyed when she walked out in that scene. There was no point in that scene where you're thinking, what the fuck? Like, how would they actually react to her walking out in this Wonder Woman costume? But like they nailed, like we're talking about, the tone and the feel and the importance of that scene so well that was like furthest from your mind, and you weren't thinking like this is so like far-fetched. It just seemed like that's something that could have actually happened during World War I. It all made sense. And I think the fact that those kind of thoughts are in her brain and already thinking about that while filming the second movie or getting ready to film is what was one of the things that made that film so successful in just its overall presentation and how it looked and how it translated from a comic to a film. And that's the way it should be done, man. I mean, come on. We can all if the rest of these guys who are making shitty comic movies can take a page from her, they would do a little bit better, I think, kids.
I agree. 100%.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on. I've got like only one, and it's not a gripe, it's not a misgiving, it's along the lines of what everyone's talking about tonally. I think one of the things that made the first Wonder Woman work with Diana as a character was everything was new. She was experiencing these things for the first time. There was a level of innocence. How do you translate that to a new story where you don't have that as a backdrop? How do you make her? I think that the challenge to them is to make her continue to be a beacon, continue to be a character that is both hopeful and inspiring, but without the backdrop of innocence that she had in the first film. I think if she's a little bit more world weary, but she has that level of hope, and I think it'll work. That's kind of what I want to see. I don't necessarily want to see the same tone from the first film. I want to see a tonal change that falls in line with the new circumstances of the character moving forward.
Right. Have a different, maybe change in tone, but definitely have the same heart.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, kids, we still got to wait a whole another year till we see Wonder Woman 2. So I'm sure in the coming months we'll start to see some stills or something, as filming gets underway. But speaking of another film that's getting close to production, is there anybody besides Channing Tatum that actually still wants a Gambit movie made? That's my real question.
Yes. Jenna Dewan Tatum.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got you. Fair enough, sir.
I think it would be kind of cool, but at the same time,
yeah,
I don't care anymore. Like,
yeah, he's pushed hard and long for a couple years now, several years now, to get this movie made, and apparently it's scheduled to start filming March 19th this year. So in less than a couple months, that movie's going to start filming.
Who's in charge of it though? That's the thing.
Gore Verbinski, who helmed the first couple of Pirates movies, is at the helm of the Gambit film, which they're touting, I guess, is kind of a heist movie. Darren, am I reading that correctly?
Yeah.
A mutant crew on a heist. So are we talking like X-Men meets Ocean's 11 here? Is that what's going on?
I think I'll be honest with you. Like, my only misgiving about, more than one misgiving, but the thing about Gambit is, has Gambit in any way changed in the comics at all? Like, has he ever gone through any kind of character development or evolution or growth or anything, or has he just been the same character that was introduced in the late 80s?
Has he always been like, my petite chérie, let's throw some cards here, baby?
Right. It's there's literally nothing about Gambit that has changed over the course of 20 years. So what would make him interesting enough for me to want to sit and watch him for 90 minutes to 2 hours? Yeah. Even if it's a mutant heist film, right. It's still Gambit. Yeah. And I don't particularly hate Gambit as a character, but it's just Gambit.
Do we not feel like the little bit we saw in Wolverine Origins was kind of about enough of Gambit you'd want to see in a movie?
How dare you? How dare you bring up that movie? God.
But you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, like, that's kind of about how much screen time Gambit needs, I think.
And that's about as much character as Gambit is.
Right.
I liked the comics though. I've got a bunch of the old comics from the 90s that are Gambit based, and maybe I need to go back and read them because I was a dumb teenager. Yeah. But I felt like they were pretty good, but maybe they really weren't in hindsight. I don't know. I think it could be done. I think it could be done well. I just think they're gonna have to change that character. It's a little bit from what we're used to seeing, and make him a little less maybe Pepe Le Pew and more. I think he serves better as a side, not a sidekick, but like the friend in the group that's funny and awesome.
I don't know why I'm getting this vision in my brain of Channing Tatum like as his character in 21 Jump Street, but with a Cajun accent. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
I like Channing Tatum too. I just don't think he's that. I don't know that he could carry an entire movie. Although, with that said, he did with 24 Jump Street, but I don't know that he can with an iconic character like Gambit. Yeah. I don't know. I give him the benefit of a doubt. Why do we need origin movies like this new? I'm getting sick of origin movies. Stop it. Stop it with the solo movie. Stop it with the Gambit movie. Please just give us quality over quantity. Can we just have that, please?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, don't make it don't make it big, and I think that's what's going to be one of the biggest problems with having Verbinski as a director is that there's going to be a lot of huge set pieces and big action sequences, and it's still going to be. And I mean, I don't know how many special effect shots of flaming cards am I going to have to sit through
Right.
in 2 hours? Because I guarantee it's going to be a bunch of flaming cards, even if because flaming cards and a bow staff. That's
Yes.
pretty much it.
Beautiful. Lovely.
And a trench coat.
I don't know, man. Yes. Yes. Are they going to
He
do
has
the
a sexy trench coat though.
Yeah, are they going to
nice
do the weird
trench coat.
bandana-y thing on his forehead?
Yeah, is he gonna wear that weird ass thing where it's just like his hair coming out and his face?
His face
Yes,
sleeve,
his weird
whatever
head.
that thing is.
His face
Like yes, like his cranial condom. Because
I was just going to say face condom. Yeah.
Like it looks cool in drawings.
Yes,
But I've seen
because
very
then you don't have to
costumes.
draw his ears. It's
Yes.
like you don't have to draw ears and or cheeks.
But like, how does it stay up? Like it's I don't know. It's not very practical.
I know.
That's all right.
I know, kids. I know, guys. All right, guys. So switching gears a little bit, and I want to talk about this. And I know it's going to be kind of an interesting thing to bring up, but you know, I feel like it's important for us to bring in the controversial or you know, not so kind things in our community, unfortunately. And I was saddened. I was very saddened, and I don't know if I'm necessarily shocked. And I don't know all the details yet. I don't know if even all the details have been released yet. But you know, it's unfortunate that it seems like on a weekly, could be almost daily basis, we're hearing new allegations of famous people being accused of sexual misconduct, sexual harassment. And unfortunately, now another name that's being added to that list is none other than the Papa of Marvel himself. We're talking about Stan Lee. Where do we even go with this, Christina? Your thoughts, your opinions on subjects like these are something I consider highly valuable and informed. What are you thinking initially about hearing this coming supposedly from Stan Lee?
My first initial reaction was, because I'm biased, was this is bullshit. There's no way. And then I had to like bite it and be like, okay, wait, no, that's not fair to do, because literally any person, no matter how much we idolize them, could be imperfect, and we have to accept that.
Yes.
I have never personally heard any stories about him being inappropriate.
Right.
That doesn't mean that it's not true by any means. Just because it didn't happen to me or someone I know doesn't mean it isn't true. However, I will say that what I've read so far, it's one person in the nursing company that they had hired in his home that basically tried to get money from him first and then made the allegation. Again, not saying it's not true, but so far it sounds like it's only one person who has come forward. I really hope that it's not true. Would it surprise me? Honestly, sadly, probably not. Nothing really surprises me anymore. And I'd like to think he's not the kind of person that would do that. But, you know, I didn't post anything about it yet because I wasn't sure how I felt, and I wanted to wait until I saw something solid that wasn't from a tabloid article. Because to be fair, the only thing I've seen has been from like Daily Mail and like tabloidy type
websites,
news sites. So I'm waiting until something more solid comes out, and hopefully nothing does. I hope that it's just bullshit. But like I said, sometimes we really idolize people, and they're kind of our heroes, and they fuck up, and we have to accept that. And if he did do that, he deserves to be punished just like anyone else who misbehaved. So
it's you know what I was thinking about, you know, when I first heard about this, and it's obviously by no means trying to excuse any behavior, but I think because of just the climate as far as, you know, entertainment media goes, and how many big names have come out, you know, being people who have, you know, sexually abused or harassed coworkers, people that have worked for them, subordinates. And I think it's weird because there's been a lot of argument going back and forth with people who obviously their initial thought is, well, this is much bullshit. Somebody's just trying to get money out of him. And there's also been the argument about, well, he's kind of an old guy. You know, he's in his mid
He's
to late
95.
90s, 95. Yeah.
95.
And you know, do you remember like when we were kids, and if you had your grandpa who was like smacking some girl on the butt as she walked by, like I think it was never okay, but in the olden days it was kind of like, he's just a crazy old man kind of thing, you know.
But honestly, that's
ahead,
part
buddy.
of that. That's part of the problem. Is that
exactly.
Is that we from a societal level, from a level of how we were raised as males, how many women were raised in the society. We were, you know, it was. It's almost like the Benny Hill kind of syndrome, where it's like, it's funny to see an old man chasing a bunch of scantily clad women around. It's not. It was acceptable, but it should never have been accepted.
Absolutely,
and that's how we were, and it's how we were raised. It's not an excuse, but it is an explanation.
It's akin to like the casual racism thing, you know, that happened between the 50s and up until, I mean, really, honestly, recently. So
I said, I've always separated the person from the persona. Yeah. So I have absolutely I don't know Stan Lee personally. So there's nothing in there for me to say categorically, this didn't happen. Mm-hmm. I think the fact that, I'm absolutely willing to believe someone when they come forward to say something like this happened. At the same time, like you, I've heard nothing else. There's been, in fact, everything I've heard has been in direct opposition to the allegations. Does that mean that this didn't happen? No. All it means is that these are the facts as presented. So I don't particularly, I'm not rendering a judgment on the man. Again, I don't know, but at this point, I separate the person from the persona. Yeah. He's a man who's created some of the best characters in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'll respond to. His personal predilections in life have not only never been my business, mm-hmm. but, shouldn't be my business now. And if that's the case, and if what he does in his personal life is affecting someone in a negative way, he deserves to be punished for it.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with you guys completely. And it's and obviously, like you said, Christina, we, these people are, our heroes a lot of times, or we idolize them in certain respects. So it's always a bit of a shock when you think, because you see them, on TV a lot, or you read their stuff, or you watch their movies, that you know these people. In reality, you don't. But, like you guys said, and until I hear, actual facts and things, and I hope I don't, like you said, Christina, don't hear that. But I myself have known several people who've worked closely with Stan Lee who are female, and, I've never really heard anything of the nature. So it's just one of those things that's hard to hear, and it's unfortunate, and hope it's not true. And if it is, well, it's unfortunate, and it needs to be dealt with. It's, but
yeah,
that's it, guys. We'll see. Go ahead.
He's 95 years old. There's at no point in his life that he can't learn that something is wrong.
Right.
So it can't be, if he did it, then then his age should not be a factor in, this is wrong. This is why it's wrong.
Right. Agreed. Well, guys, we'll see what happens on that whole front. But one last quick note before we close out, because we started late thanks to my awesome computer issues tonight. Were either of you lovely people, co-hosts of mine, watching The Runaways?
Have not yet.
Yeah, I've watched. I think I'm 2 episodes behind, but I've loved everything that I've seen.
Man, Darren, I don't know where I missed the boat on hearing anything about that show, because I heard very little about it. But man, I'm like, why have I not been watching this show since it first hit, man? I like last weekend at some point, I had nothing really going on. I didn't know what else to watch. All my WB shows are on hiatus right now, and I said, well, this is a Marvel show. I'll check this out. Mm-hmm. My God, man, I think I burned through like the first like 5 episodes in one shot, man.
I'll
I
tell you
didn't know
exactly.
about it until you tweeted about it. I had no idea about the show at all.
I'll tell you exactly why, because I've written about the show. I've written reviews of episodes of the show. The reason why is because you don't see any advertisement for the show except on Hulu.
Yeah,
like you see it on Hulu, you see it online, you see it on YouTube, but you won't see it on you won't see it on television. You won't see it in any other media.
Yeah,
and if it's not being seen in that media, then there's no conversation about it other than in the in the circles of criticism where they're talking about how good it is, or they're talking about us talking about it. So I mean, the fact that it's a Hulu exclusive has been great for the show content wise. Yeah. I think it has been an issue with advertising the show itself.
Right. Yeah. I definitely enjoy the tone of it. It's definitely a different tone than what we're getting from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if we're talking Marvel TV shows, and of course it's own thing. The Netflix Marvel shows are completely in their own little universe there, as far as what they can get away with on that. But I mean, the show is just a really cool kind of like origin story about a group of teenagers who are dealing with parents and coming of age and things that normal teenagers deal with, but they're also dealing with a lot of things that teenagers don't deal with, secret societies and kids getting killed and superpowers and all kinds of things. And I think it's just a really great mix of those things, and it's just really well done and well written. I'm definitely like a lot of people who are like, what the hell? Why did it end where it ended? So many questions unanswered still.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised to see what's his name, Darren? Julian McMahon, right?
Julian McMahon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, dude, it's great to see him as a villain and not as Dr. Doom in the crappy Fantastic Four movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he has such a persona. He's just got that like really creepy, like arrogant asshole rich guy thing down really well, and then he's really scary. He's just kind of like, he shoots some looks sometimes, and you're like, I think the paint's gonna start peeling off the walls, man. I've always enjoyed him as an actor when he's in cool stuff, So it was cool to see him back as the big bad Jonah, and I think that's one of the big questions that everybody still has at the end of the season is who exactly is Jonah? Like, where'd he come from? What's his end game? Like, what's the whole deal with Jonah? Darren, how do you know anything about how well this is following parallel to the comic books?
It actually is. I mean, with a few exceptions, it is running pretty much the way the first series of comics went. And I mean, the fact that they've had like they've had Vaughn in on crafting the story. I mean, and this is his his baby from start to finish from a comic book aspect. But it's not, my favorite aspect of the show is if there was one thing that if they didn't nail it, it would probably have ruined the entire experience for me as someone who's read the comics, is Old Lace.
Yeah.
Like had they not had Old Lace, and the fact that they actually went and made sure that she was part of the story.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, you're taking this seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what I dig about it. Because the fact that you're
go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
As I said, so I mean, I'm looking forward to season 2 since they've announced that they're going for a season 2. Yeah. And I like the tonal shift of like that and Cloak and Dagger coming to Freeform.
Yeah.
I want to see how those shows relate to the rest of the other kind of Marvel shows out there. Just with both tone and with characters, and the fact that these are younger actors. These are like kids kind of coming of age in these shows. I want to see how those play out.
Absolutely, man. Christina, we won't spoil who Old Lace is, but we'll just say it's a creature of some sort that shouldn't be around.
I think I know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I remember. Yes. So.
Yeah. And as Darren said, it's awesome that she's well incorporated and done well in the show. So I just trip out every time.
And it's just there. It's like even with the explanation of how she is there, it's not like, okay, we have to If it were just a bunch of beauty shots,
Yeah.
then it would get old after a while. But the fact that she's like incorporated into the show,
Yeah. She's
just enhances
it's kind
those
of like their
moments.
Scooby almost.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what I said. It is like having an actual Scooby in the
Yeah.
Scooby gang.
Right. Good stuff, man. Excellent show. I'll be super excited when it comes back for season 2. But guys, that's a good spot to wrap up tonight. My friend, my lovely friend, Miss Christina Walker, close us out with your final thought this evening, madame.
Well, as we were talking about with our idols, try to keep things in perspective. Try to listen to the news, not listen to just like, garbage that you hear. Enjoy all of the awesome geek stuff that's coming out because there's a lot of it. And it seems like it's just never going to end, which is really great.
Yep.
Get your Black Panther tickets. Check out Final Fantasy, the new game. Pretty sure I'm gonna download Wolfenstein because it sounds really fun. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It has not been a very exciting past couple of weeks. So yeah,
it's okay, man.
And then just if you want to follow me at BoobaFett83 on Instagram and Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. It's always good chatting with you, Mr. Darren. Generally, as always, sir. What do you got going on in your neck of the woods?
Doing a lot of the reading, just reading the comics. I'm definitely recommending Batman and the Signal by Scott Snyder, Tony Patrick, Cully Hamner from DC Comics. It's a great, it's a limited series, but it's a really great character that I'm hoping gets expanded into a longer series, and that's only going to happen with people reading and buying the comic. On the Marvel side, definitely Doctor Strange has been a great run with Loki as the Sorcerer Supreme. I'm digging that story so much because it's so like bizarre and amazing, and even Charles Soule writing Daredevil has been pretty good because you got Wilson Fisk as the mayor, and now Matt Murdock is deputy mayor, and that dynamic in that comic is so interesting, and I want to see where that goes. So just read the comics. You love the comics. We all love the comics. That's why we're going to see the films based on the comimics.
We do, sir. That's true.
Right. So don't forget the comics.
That's right, man.
That's the jumping off point. So read comics. Go to your local comic shop and buy comics.
Yes, absolutely. Support your local comic shop, kids. It's important. Darren, where can the beautiful peoples find you on the interwebs?
Oh, they can always find me at Superpowered Fan on the Twitter feeds, and that's where I am daily.
Yeah.
When I mostly at times I shouldn't be. So.
It's okay, Darren. You're amongst friends here. You can be honest. Guys, for my final thought this week, something coming up this Saturday that you can check out on YouTube. Really excited about it. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I'm actually finally, and this is my first ever reading of the actual book series. I'm finally made it to book 7, Deathly Hallows. So ever since last year when I first went to Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I've just been like fully immersed in Harry Potter again, and I love every minute of it. But specifically this weekend, there is what I'm calling a very I will say high budget made fan film hitting YouTube, and they had to put it on YouTube obviously because they almost got sued by WB for making this movie. It looks so good. And it's a movie that deals with some of the time that we don't know about what happened to Voldemort, and basically when he made his switch from Tom Riddle to Voldemort, and kind of what happened in that time. And the movie is called Voldemort: Origins of the Heir. That is hitting YouTube this Saturday. Depending on where you're at in the world, time zone wise, they actually have a list of when it's going to hit the internet. If you're in California, it's hitting at around noon. So definitely check that out, guys, if you're into Potter, because it's great. But I can't wait. It looks really cool. If you haven't checked out the trailer, please do. It looks amazing. guys, that's it for tonight. Please check us out on Twitter at _geekside pod. As always, you can find us on the internet at thegww.com. And please continue checking me out on Twitter at Darth Sparrow. As always, have a good night. We'll catch you on the geek side.